That was Dave McMiniman posing the questions and looking up at the taller man. Once again, Kawhi Leonard went off, becomes just the second Raptors player with consecutive 35-point games in postseason history. Kyle Lowry the other. As for the rest of the guys, they kind of struggled. Just 54 points total on 30% from the floor, but we need some expert analysis now.
All right, that's why Tim Legler is here, because we look at those numbers and go, Kawhi Leonard, 35 points. He had another great game. He had a great game in game one, and yet it seemed like that wasn't a dominant performance in a 35-point performance that led to a win.
Yeah, if you didn't see the game and you just looked at the box score, that's what you'd think. Oh, same old, same old. Sixers didn't adjust to him. It's not the case at all. It actually played him much tougher. And he just had a lower quality of shot, but he was still making them. That's how great Kawhi Leonard is, but I just thought their attentiveness to playing at the elbows on his driving lanes, to doubling him in the post, which they started to do early in the game, they didn't do that at all in game one. Overall, I thought the effort and the desperation that the Sixers played with showed me something tonight. They showed me how badly they want to win this series, because they go down 2-0 against this team. That's going to be a tough hole to dig out of. They fought. There's a lot of subpar stat lines in that starting lineup for both teams. Butler played great. Kawhi played great. Everybody else struggled. It was a good old-fashioned Eastern Conference playoff game, but at the end, the Sixers made the plays on the biggest possessions of the game. Toronto came up short on some open threes.
Well, as long as you brought up the biggest possessions of the game, why don't you go to your miracle touchscreen and talk about the big possessions of the game?
Yeah, and Joel Embiid really struggled all night. I mean, he just had a hard time getting it going, particularly against Marc Gasol. He was out of rhythm, didn't do much. But here you go, right? This is now after Toronto makes this run, and they've come all the way back from 18 down. They got it to 4, 2.5 minutes to go. And where are you going to go now when you got to walk it up possession? You're going to go to your best player, and it's Joel Embiid, even though he's having a bad night. And he's being patient right here. But watch right here. Siakam comes down. You got Gasol here. So he is completely pinned. And this is one of those situations when you have a non-shooting point guard, right? He's got to come into the action. And by doing that, he actually brings Danny Green into the mix as well. So you're going to see a very crowded lane right here. And take a look at the weak side of the floor. You've got a couple of shooters. And I know Jimmy Butler, as this ball gets down here, and you see how sandwiched Embiid is, I know Jimmy Butler is probably very tempted right now to cut in here and try to take the pressure, to try to find a gap. But if he does that, he's not going to get off anything quality because it's so crowded. So to his credit, he stays there. And watch this jump hook pass cross court right in the cradle to Jimmy Butler. Biggest shot of the game. It stops the first run. And now Toronto comes back again. They cut it to 1. And again, it's the same two players. Butler right here, it looked like he was going to go to a step-back jumper, get vertical, going to have a hand in his face against Danny Green. I think it's very fortunate he didn't take that shot. Instead, Embiid at the top. And Embiid, watch the jab step, and then he's going to go hard here. And I want you to watch the read he makes at the end of this. As he starts to drive, take a look at what Pascal Siakam does. He's going to come over. He starts to spin. Siakam right here, ready to get vertical. If Embiid comes out of that spin and shoots that, I'm almost guaranteeing you Siakam's going to block it. Watch the footwork. He actually stops, jump stops, step through, layup. Biggest possession of the game. He played power basketball. You know how important it is for him to get shots going toward the rim. Sometimes he'll lean, shoot threes, bail you out. That possession, biggest one, maybe not only of the game, John, maybe the biggest possession of the entire series right there. And he plays power basketball, takes his time on a night he didn't play very well offensively, came through at the end.
Quickly, you've seen him for 2 games now. Who's best is better?
Toronto. I think Toronto has a higher ceiling. But Sixers, man, when they dig deep defensively, the way that they did tonight and make them earn it like that, Philadelphia can make this a very long series.
Tim Legler's got all kinds of Philly grit in him right now. Thanks, Jimmy.
Make him count. Joel Embiid clearly not feeling well before the game time decision. But that was the biggest play of the game. Some misses from the Raps, and we're even going back to Philadelphia. We'll hear from both coaches and the players here on Game Time Live. Casey Stern, I'm coachable, the coaches. D. Fish, Frank Vogel. And, guys, let's go back to kind of that play, because you sit there and sometimes you just need your stars, right, to make star plays. Didn't have a great night, only took 5-6 shots before that, but this is a star kind of a move here from Embiid. D.
Yeah, Coach, we talked a lot about the fact that this is still very early in Joel Embiid's career. Yes. Missed games in terms of injuries, etc. In that moment, though, after being 1 for 6 for the game, to make that play is impressive.
And look, for all the talk about Joel and Gasol in the post, Okay, this is where Joel Embiid is most dangerous. You know, his ability to take opposing centers out to the three-point line, attack them off long closeouts, and his footwork is just off the charts. You saw it on that last play, just a big-time shot.
And desire really more than, I mean, clearly he's not feeling well. That was a spot where he took it upon himself. Whatever energy I got, I'll push it and make it happen. And here again, in the athleticism, right, Frank? I mean, that's where the body of Gasol's been on him in the post, but here he can use that athleticism.
Yeah, you don't have centers that can make that kind of move.
No.
I mean, just to be able to put the ball on the floor from the three-point line. There's a lot of centers in this league that can shoot threes, but they can't do that.
No.
You know, and that's just a special move. And look, for him to be able to do this, he's not practicing much. He's been in and out of the lineup. He's trying to, you know, manage his knee and sick and all that stuff. So, you know, obviously he's going to be a little bit out of rhythm. But for him to make a big-time play like that with the game on the line just shows a lot about his character.
And by the way, we'll talk about this, but their bench was a big factor. Greg Monroe, 10 points, 5 boards, gave him some really solid minutes and helped to at least take off Embiid, but there were some unforced errors. And Fish, you know this, you've made some huge shots during the course of your career. You got to take them, and then you got to make them. And Danny Green's made plenty, but in this game, Siakam, Gasol, and Green were 11 of 39, and the biggest one was the last one where Danny got an open look.
Yeah, there was something about the Raptors right from the start tonight that was just a little bit off. The timing wasn't there. There was more tension in the shooting, wide open shots, not falling, and they didn't tonight.
Yeah, most of the night. And look, you know, the Raptors definitely had a tough shooting night, but credit to Sixers defense early in the game. Okay, the first quarter, they came out with great intensity. They were showing Kawhi a crowd all night, making things difficult to get in the paint. Ennis was taking charges. And, you know, that type of energy can sometimes put a team in a bad rhythm shooting the basketball. And, you know, carried over for the final 3 quarters.
Difference in this game, really, if you look at it, was at the line. 24 of 26 for the Sixers. 13 of 15, which is good, but those extra attempts, and they came from Jimmy Butler, most of them. He was 8 of 8 at the line. He had the most attempts there. And we talked about this during the pregame. There was that 1 quarter in the first series demonstrative, but he concentrated on, look, to his credit, trying to facilitate a bit. The defense where he was, especially without Embiid healthy, had to be, and he was. Took the most shots on the team, had the most points, a 30-point night for Butler.
Really smart, I think, by Jimmy Butler. Since he's been in Philadelphia, he's had to kind of do a tap dance of when to assert himself and try and be the best player. Right. Also leaving room for Ben Simmons and Embiid to continue to develop as great as those 2 young players are. And to sense that Embiid being limited with illness, etc., that he had to be great tonight. And not only offensively, Coach, but defensively, he was physical and he took the challenge to many Raptors players.
Yeah, and look, 11 boards, added 5 assists. I mean, Coach, he really did a little bit of everything. We saw a couple of huge and one plays. We know he's a big shot maker, but it took the pressure off where Embiid only had to take 7 shots. Hadn't taken one in a while before that big play late. It gave them a go-to guy when they needed points.
Yeah, and this is why you go out and get Jimmy Butler, you know, mid-season. He's a gamer. And, you know, his team needed him tonight. He had a poor performance defensively, at least, in Game 1, and wasn't really involved. But on both ends of the floor, he asserted himself early in the game on the defensive end. And then when both teams were out of rhythm offensively, he carried the load and led them to the victory.
Yeah. Dame hit the unbelievable shot, but this is something that is even better. We accentuate the negative. Asked about pressure heading into this series, guys. He said, pressure, this is just ball. Pressure's a homeless man who doesn't know where his next meal's coming from. The single mom trying to scuffle and pay rent. They paid a lot of money to play a game. Don't get me wrong. These are challenges. To call it pressure, though, an insult to regular people. And I want to bring this up, Fish, because it's not just point 4. You hit a lot of big shots. You played with players, hit big shots. Coach, you guys both know there's a mentality of guys who can thrive in that moment and not. His perspective and understanding where this all fits, how much do you think that helps him with his lack of fear to fail under pressure?
I mean, I think it helps him tremendously. I mean, it helps all of us to have life experiences, good ones and bad ones, that then help inform you of how to step into a moment in life on the court in this particular situation. And when you hear about and think about Damian's background, where he's from, his life experiences, what he said in the quotes, that all factors into, to me, having an ability to relax, to be confident, to trust that, yeah, it's great if the shot goes in, but I'm not going to be in a position where I don't have somewhere to go home.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to pay my rent tomorrow if I miss the shot. So I'm just going to relax and let it go.
And he wasn't
That's what he
afraid.
did.
And that's a large part of it, right?
And this goes into how Damian Lillard is just hitting that out of the park on all levels. Okay, the mental preparation and the peace of mind that he's carrying to the game to be able to perform that way with the right perspective is allowing him to lead his team. He's being a great leader. He's supporting the coach. He's supporting the organization, saying he's going to be there long term. And he's playing as well as he's ever played.
All right, he's also hit big threes. He didn't pay me to say this, but DZ could also hit it from 37 feet if somebody wanted him to close out a game. All right, now you're good, 3D. He texted me that. Here he is with Dame as they get ready for Denver.
Lillard, long-range three, and it's good! At the buzzer! Damian Lillard! Are you kidding me?
Logo Dame is the name that's going crazy in social media. Why do people not understand? Once you cross half court, you're in range.
I mean, first of all, the game is evolving. You're seeing guys taking deep threes, and it's not just taking any random shot. I think you got guys working on these things and getting results from it. I know when I'm training, these are the shots that I'm taking. If it wasn't a comfortable shot and a shot that I felt like I could knock down comfortably, I wouldn't take it.
When you look at Jamal Murray and Gary Harris, how do you kind of slow those guys down?
When I look at those guys, it's like me and CJ when we first started rolling, and we were just like, they're not giving us our credit. They don't think we that good. We are that good. You know that's their approach, and they play like it. They're aggressive, they're confident. They number 2 team in the West this year, so they had a great season. I think it's just being smart, playing a crafty game, playing a mental game, and being consistent with it. Just continuing to apply that pressure for the entire 48 minutes and just try to wear them down that way. But other than that, it's going to be a challenge.
Well, one of the challenges is trying to figure out how to defend this pick and roll. Look at the frequency of the teams remaining. We're talking about all the time. We know exactly what they're trying to do. You think Rockets want to shoot threes, Harden to step back, wants to get fouled? Well, you're thinking Portland in the pick and roll. And when you look at what Oklahoma City did or didn't do, you guys know this, right? You're always looking at film, not because necessarily you're going to duplicate, but you may learn from a mistake. So you guys kind of take me, let's film room this thing. What do you guys see from what Oklahoma City is doing here?
Well, in this situation, a guy like Jeremy Grant is athletic enough to have been closer in that switching situation. Here, Dennis Schroeder let Damian get to his left over that pick and roll when his help was actually to his right. And then we saw in multiple situations with whether it was Westbrook or maybe George on that last second shot, hands were down and not active enough pressuring the basketball. I know Coach Vogel, you can go into the big discussion in that part as well.
That's the big challenge, right? His range forces the big to come out. Okay, and if you're going to bring your bigs all the way out beyond the three-point line, it creates a lot of different issues. First and foremost, he's going to be on one side or the other of the screen. And if he's going to be on one side, Dame sees him and rejects it, goes the other way.
And then, you want to be Dame? Come on, it's like, get in there. Keep Dame.
Come on, Justin.
Just blaze, come on.
All right. If the screener's coming out here and I got to come out and guard, so I'm Steven Adams coming out here.
Right.
Dame seems the big coming out past the screen. He takes it away from the screen and rejects it. Now there's nobody to help on the screen roll. That's how he's getting a few of his pop-up jump shots. Okay, now come on back, Justin.
At least dribble, Kimberly. I mean, we know travels. We don't need George Borgia to chime in that you just traveled.
The other part of it is most centers don't have great lateral mobility. Okay, and you're going to see that some tonight with Jokic. Okay, if he comes all the way out, okay, Dame has the ability to split the big, just turn the corner on the big, okay, and now you brought 2 to the ball and you're beat anyway. You've taken away the pop-up 3, but you're in trouble because the ball's on a straight line drive at the basket. Okay, one of the best finishers at the rim in the game. If you bring your help, you got shooters on the weak side, but you got to bring the whole cavalry and make somebody else beat you once the ball gets going downhill.
And they haven't been able to do that. I mean, their supporting cast outside of the 2 guards has always been the question over and over. And now with no Nurkic and Cantor banged up, it's an issue. I want to ask about something that you talked about before, because we could game plan anything we want in any sport, but you got to execute, right? So you talk about hands down. I mean, for coaches, this is what drives you nuts, right? The game plan not being right, that's on you, but guys not given on every play what they're supposed to with that game plan is more often part of the problem, is it not?
Not most of the time.
Okay.
It's a combination. Everybody has to take ownership and responsibility. There are times where the coaching could be better and should have been better. Maybe the game plan could have been different. But whatever the game plan is, whatever decisions are made, none of it works without 100% commitment, energy, effort, intensity, and the discipline to do those things. In a screen roll situation, if I'm defending someone, if my hands are down in those situations, then I'm going to be more easily taken advantage of. So in a screen roll situation, the guard in particular is supposed to have high and active hands to prevent the passing angles there. And then when the big comes up, he's down in his position and he has the
And he
low
get in the
hands.
lane too, right? If I'm trying to go ahead and make a
Particular,
pass.
as well as what Coach said is if the lane is split down the middle, the floor, by this nail at the free throw line. We always call this the nail. So the guards are going to be on one side of this nail or the other. And my job in this screen roll situation, if Damian Lillard is on this side of the floor, I cannot let him get back to the middle because I know Coach is on this side to help me. So I'm showing disrespect to my teammates and to the game plan to allow Damian to go back this way. I have to commit myself and force him towards Coach.
I love how you just went like sort of like quasi-dancing with ice. Okay, look at the dancing with the story. Let me show you the video in Denver. Take me through what you see here, because we talked about, and Coach Vogel, you were talking about Jokic and some of the issues they might find. This is for the regular season, guys. What do you see here?
Well, he got beat on that play right there, and that's the big issue. You bring him all the way out to take away the three, and, well, that's the other issue. I mean, Dame can get to the basket with his speed, but the pocket pass creates a 4-on-3 as well, and Dame's one of the best passers in the pick-and-roll game in the league.
You know, the thing about it, too, is how much more dangerous does it make it when any time he wants, when he gets hot, he can just decide, you know what, I don't need any of this. I'll just shoot. So you're so prepared for everything that he's going to do that you just broke down that you're maybe that split second too late to close out on him where he goes and hits the three.
In particular, yes, because as soon as he steps over half court, like 3D said, he's pretty much in his range. A lot of those clips were fairly good, though. If you can force Lillard to have to use that many dribbles to either get to the front of the rim or then at the last second he's dropping off to another guy, you have a much better chance of having success against the Blazers. Anytime he's coming over half court and he's one or two dribbles popping up into his three, or he's coming off of a screen roll and being able to easily get to his spots, you are in trouble. So watch the Nuggets to be really active and throwing a lot of extra bodies at Lillard tonight.
Hey, don't forget about the other guy, CJ, because he missed a few. Bricked one, but then made two of the biggest shots in the game, both late.